Hey guys, still here and welcome back to another tournament match from Wargame Red Dragon. The tournament, in case this is the first match that you're seeing of it, it has 3,000 starting points per team, no income whatsoever. You're playing a conquest match and you are not allowed to use coalitions. There's no United States, there's no USSR and no coalitions overall. This means that you're going to be seeing some decks which are slightly less used, and one of those happens to be a North Korean deck in this case. We're looking at the, if I'm not mistaken, the quarterfinals. This is Regiment Heusinger on blue 4 versus Imposto and Roubo on red 4. Now, this is going to be an interesting fight, because the North Koreans are a deck that you don't see very often. So I'm very curious to see how Volkov is going to make those guys work. On blue 4, it's pretty much the usual suspects. You have the Israeli and the French, and usually it is a German deck that joins that fight. This time around, though, it is a Dutch deck, and these guys are going to be instrumental in pushing one of the flanks. Now, let's skip the setup phase, because I'm not terribly interested in that. It's interesting, though, to see what their initial play might be, judging on the units that we're seeing. We got Taco with an X85 KT, BTR 50s, and an ITO 90, probably assuming to get into Foxtrot. We have a defense marker over here from Matt Klug, also red 4. They seem to be going towards the middle, and this is their final objective. Or at least for now. This is usually an area that's pretty heavily fought over. But this match might just be a little different. Over on the right, the North Koreans. BTR 80A, we got T55s, Chonmaho 5s, Type 80 Spags. It's an interesting deck. And it's not one that you see very often. At least, I don't think I've seen it in this tournament. But then again, I haven't seen all the tournament matches. I've watched most of them, just not all of them yet. Now, we have a couple of attack markers. They're going to try and get these buildings, of course, with Maglans. Volkov is going to try and get all the way to here. That seems to be a pretty long push, especially considering that the open area from here, from there... Bravo from this side to there is going to be it's a pretty risky maneuver if you want to try and get there. Maybe he's going to be using helicopters. Matt over there, Taco's going to CV Alpha, and we got Taco potentially also CVing Fox, or he's just going to put some infantry in the buildings over there. Now, judging by the units that we see over here, we got Shaiskov with the French deck going towards Foxtrot. There is a middle group from Storm Commando, Israeli forces, including a Merkava 3B, going towards the middle of the map. And then over on the left side / right, depending on how you look at it, we got the Dutch with a Leopard 2A4 NL command, no, not a command tank, just a standard tank, Leopard Verkenning, Cheetah, PRTL, and a bunch of transports. There is one Anafa from Storm Commando, and that's I think the marker that you see over there with the Maglans. Alright, let's kick it off and see how these guys do. Now we are approaching the finals. Of course we're going to have the half finals, semifinals, or sorry, semifinals and then the finals eventually. The teams are definitely starting to get more pressure, I think. Judging by how close the matches are becoming. And sure enough, yes, you have the occasional outlier where it's just an absolute stomp. But that doesn't happen very often. These teams seem to be more and more matched to each other. Now, Red 4 is the first to capture Alpha, putting them at a temporary +2 lead. But of course, Blue 4's command infantry is still arriving in Delta pretty soon. So that should also get them some points. We've got the 185 KTs coming in. The French units are being pulled back. And they don't actually seem to be capturing the position here. They're just bypassing it, maneuvering towards the forest. Over in the middle, I'm not too sure what happened, because I'm seeing that Storm Commando didn't offload his forces. That's costing them an income of +2, which means that Red 4 is still ticking at +1. Red 4 has almost captured the position over here, as Matt drives his SPW 50PU in position here. But then again, the Dutch DAF 4440 is almost in position with the Dutch command infantry. Now note how the guys over here are not taking up a position in the town over here. They're not trying to hold, they're trying to push. 30 Corps Mariniers 95 moving out towards the front line. Maglands, Husaren taking a position. One lonely YP408 has a very risky duty of being pushed forward to see what fights back. And it turns out to be a Chonmaho 5. There's also something else fighting back, and this time it's against the Leopard 2A4 NL, as a whole bunch of North Korean infantry are pushing the tree line. And Yukyokte have the pretty impressive Type 69-3 RPG, doing 23 AP. That's not really something that you want to be taking too many hits of when you're in a Leopard 2A4. So both the Verkenning and the 2A4 are pulling back. Down in the middle, it's quiet. The command infantry is still packed up, the Zeldas are still packed up, leading me to believe that Storm Commander was either distracted or maybe AFK for a second. And this does give Red the opportunity to take a very offensive position over here, almost in Delta. They also get the opportunity to bring LSTR over here. LSTR and SPW-80 taking out the AA gun, leaving just the AMX 10RC, but even that almost falls to the SPW-80 and their machine gun. So now it's up to the LSTR and their Vampire to immediately one-shot the AMX 10RC, or, well, what was left of it. At this point, Taco has taken up position inside the buildings. We got Panzer Jekeri, Eriks Jekeri, 185 KT with the Bushmaster 2 standing by to assist. ATGM unit over there. And over in the tree line, this is a clash waiting to happen. Noteworthy, a triple charioteer unit coming in. Not generally great tanks, but for 15 points and an 8 rounds a minute rate of fire, well, you don't need to get too many shots out of these before you start making your monies back. Blue 4 at this point has captured Delta, leading them to be at a +1, as Bravo is neutral and Foxtrot is under Blue 4 command. I'm not seeing any Red 4 command unit going towards Foxtrot, but they did just spawn it in, and there is still a little bit of room for them to park a command unit. Now at this point, Blue 4 over on the left is pushing aggressively. Corps Mariniers, transports, and 2 groups of Stoottroepen 95 pushing the forest. Wiping out 1 group of North Korean infantry, Bachongzu are on the run, Hwasung Chongs are falling back, Chonmahos are falling back, and they know that something's up. They're already shelling the forest, but of course at this point the infantry has moved on. Now if they can find that command unit, they can get a +2, as they will take full command over Bravo. At the same time though, their flank, or rather their line between Delta and Foxtrot is exceptionally weak. This is going to make it potentially risky to get more infantry into Foxtrot, and the infantry and vehicles that are over here are relatively close to the command infantry, which is currently hiding out in Foxtrot. Over here the French are holding position, but so are the Finnish. This is just a clash waiting to happen, and I think we'll see contact there sooner rather than later. Stoottroepen 95, Corps Mariniers still in good health. These guys, I'm not sure if they're waiting for a push of some sort, or if Blue is distracted with something else. Shaiskov is asking for help to deal with all the infantry and vehicles that are currently occupying the tree line. They just don't have that many units to do something about that. Sure enough, you got the Merkava 3B, but if that thing pushes out, then it could encounter infantry at shorter range. So it's going to be pretty risky using that tank. Fortunately for them though, for Blue 4, there's not a lot of HEGM infantry in here. Actually, no, there's none. But they do have the LSTR, and the Vampire is deadly against the Merkava. Now, artillery going out into the position where they might expect the command unit, and they get it. That was a Lance, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a Lance. Tactical missile strikes the command unit and puts Blue 4 at a +2. Blue 4's command infantry, infantry is now pushing in. Stoottroepen on the receiving end of a couple of tank shells, reducing their numbers to just 9. And now it's also the T-55 recon tanks from Volkov, which are making their life particularly unpleasant. Flampanzer Tu-55 moving back. It's going to be a risky move for them, because once that magline gets a whiff of it, it could probably one-shot it with those missiles. Infantry gets bombed out of existence by a Kurnus that flies around. And they do have well, I wouldn't really call it a strong position here, but it's interesting to see how Red 4 is strong on, let's say, the back of Bravo, And blue is also strong on the back of Bravo relative from Red Force perspective. Unfortunately for blue, none of these guys are very capable of dealing with tanks at range. Whereas these vehicles, BMP-2Cs, they are very capable of finding and eradicating both the infantry and the command infantry later on. Leopard Verkenning and 2A4 are being asked to help. And unfortunately for the Leopards, they are spotted. Volkov knows where they are. And I think it's the Kampfschwimmer over here that's spotting the Verkenning. So they know that something's up there. Now, I missed the encounter over here, but the French are retreating. The Charioteers have survived, at least 2 of them. Some of the infantry has taken a bit of a beating, but overall there's a lot more Finnish standing than there are French. And this leaves just a scattering of units to defend the command infantry in Foxtrot. There's also a 185 KT breaking through. And if it finds the mortar, that's going to be 1 dead mortar, but it looks like it might... Well, it was about to lock onto the Crotal, but the Crotal managed to duck back behind a tree. 185 KT pushing forward. Now they know that it's here. There goes the mortar. 1 Bushmaster 2 versus 1 machine gun is not a fair fight, and the Bushmaster wins, allowing this unit to potentially race towards Echo, but it's not. It's turning around, and it's going into the backside of Foxtrot, which is already being counter-capped by the command infantry from Red, and so they might be able to neutralize the command infantry from Blue, as Blue has absolutely nothing that defends these guys. So the command infantry is ordered to jump around, and Commander Marines are probably jumping from building to building as quickly as they can, trying to do something about this 1 unit that's going on a rampage behind enemy lines. They have an engine stall for 2 minutes. This could allow the Commander Marines the break that they were hoping for. Back to the other flank. Of course, Mariniers very much being subjected to all sorts of punishment from Gongbobyong, and Mi-24P, tanks. They're being pushed back. But they do have control over the sector, which still gives them a +1. And with no real anti-air or ways to deal with the tanks, they don't seem to have too much of an option here. The 2A4 and the Verkenning were able to take out the units that were going on the offensive over here. And I think that, yeah, the Flampanzer survived, but all the transports, the BMP-2Cs, are gone. Now it looks like the Commander Marines were in fact able to take out the 185 KT. That leaves their command infantry in relative safety, because they were about to get killed off. Red Force still has a lot of units in this tree line, making it very difficult once again for Blue to get more units in here. They have to stick to this road, because going from here to there, you're going to get spotted and potentially killed. Although Red Force still has no tank units or anything else with a longer range than just the light anti-tank weapons from the Motorschützen and the LSTR. Blue 4, very much in the lead. 124 points and counting. Their offensive, however, has been thwarted. The Stoottroepen are on the retreat, and Gongbobyong have taken up the positions again. You got a sniper team here. BTRs are pushing forward. Leopard 2A4 is trying to keep these guys at bay, but at the same time, a mortar is throwing up a smokescreen, potentially to keep the 2A4 safe. BTR 60P can now pretty much run into the Maglan, which are out of missiles. They do still have their main assault weapons, the Negev and the Glilon, but does that do enough damage against the BTR 60? Well, none of them are not turned on in the first place. Stafeenheid almost getting attacked. Maglan's losing 1 of their guys, but I think either the 2A4 or the Verkenning was able to take them out. Maglan's moving to a different position. This position for Blue 4 is very weak. And over here, they're also asking for help, Blue 4 that is, to try and keep the incoming Yekeri at bay. 1 AMX-10RC, by the way, has managed to sneak around. I didn't catch that until now. If they're able to get this thing to the base... Nah, they wouldn't be able to kill a Chonmaho 4. Or 5. At least a Chonmaho CV. I don't see them doing that. Ooh, look at that. Matt's bringing in a command tank for Delta. MX-10RC pushing forward. Kampfschwimmer now taking a shot with their RPG-18. Twice, and they hit both. Fortunate for them, otherwise they would have been dead. Command tank moving into position. Shaiskov knows where it is and is asking for help and an attack run. And there we go. Delta is neutral. And red is now counting points. It looks like Blue 4 is also still being harassed by the BTR-80A over here. Leopard 2A4 is going to need some fuel pretty bad. It's down to 200 points. Leopard Verkenning also not doing that well. It's going to need repairs on top of fuel. And the PRTL is keeping any helicopters at range. Although I'm not sure if they got it. No, it's still here. Lima 24P is hovering over Alpha. So, Blue 4, you have a command tank in your area. What are you going to do about it? What is the plan? Motorschützen seemingly getting smoked up to make a push. The only thing that happens to be standing between the command infantry and the Motorschützen are the Mistral Entier and Commando Marines. One VAP 2013 might be able to assist, but not at this short range. And especially not as they're getting smoked up. Legionnaires and Hussar not in a great position to assist here. Legionnaires could pull back, hoping to intercept the Motorschützen, but I'm not exactly sure if they know where they are. Although this smoke bridge, of course, is pretty much one big indicator saying, hey, something's going to happen here. Leopard 2A4 and L being pushed forward with the Verkenning. Unfortunately for them, the whole area is burning. And that's making them lose even more hit points, especially the Verkenning is doing pretty poorly at this point. If Red 4 can just hold this position, they'll be fine. Blue 4 recon unit, CNV coming in. Just as the Motorschützen are pushing up. There's constant smoke coming in from the Tulak 84. Mistral being pulled back. Commander Rain to the front. And the command infantry moving around. Which puts this area under the command of Red. Leaving them at a +2. And their score is rapidly approaching Blue 4's 152 points. At the same time, the Merkava 1 is doing a counteroffensive against the Yekeri. Yekeri with just a law are not really going to be that potent against them. And maybe that Merkava 1 can still somewhat assist against the Motorschützen. But this is such an urban area that it's very hard to work with. More smoke coming up. Oh, the command infantry has been pulled back into a transport. Mistral are going down. Commander Marines versus Motorschützen, but there's 28 of them and only 8 Commander Marines. This is not a fight that the Commander Marines are going to win. LSTR have now made it all the way over here. Now from here it's going to be increasingly difficult as Maglan, Merkava 3, Rovait and an AMX 10RC are holding the line. But I don't think they need to be pushing too much anyway. I think these guys might be here as a sort of intercepting force. Looks like we have another lance firing. And it strikes relatively close to the command tank. But even a missile which is, what was it, 20 HE or something ridiculous like that? Yeah, 20 HE. Sure, it's going to impact your tank. But only when it really strikes right on top of it. And even then it probably wouldn't kill it. And in this case, it's not killing it. It just shook it up a bit. But otherwise than that, it's fine. Didn't lose any health. Motorschützen have wiped out everything that remains in Foxtrot, with the exception of the Legion 90 and the Hussar, leaving Blue 4 in a very uncomfortable spot. So it's time for the AMX 10RC to make its presence known and try and flank this area, which is being defended. You got Bo Chong-su, Hwasung Chong, which also doubles as an NTR unit, the command tank and more Bo Chong-su, Hwasung Chong there and Bo Chong-su. Recon helicopter and an MI-8P coming in. Empty, by the way. Not really likely that's going to be doing much. They might be able to use the AMX 10RC to intercept the Tzalak, but of course that does give you position away and makes you very much a hunted unit. Kurnus flies in again. Dropped here. Not sure if it actually hit something, but it definitely wiped out a bunch of trees there. Merkava 3B on the offensive versus the LSTR. LSTR firing back. Doing serious damage against the 3B, which is now down to 4 hit points. But the LSTR are on the receiving end of both main gunfire, grenade launcher, and machine gun. And they narrowly survived, these Merkava 3B crew. The LSTR didn't. But if they can just hit this thing one more time, The Merc 3B is gone. There's still a Merc 2A, which is also armed with a grenade launcher. But it has far less hit points, or far less armor, 18, than the 21 on the Merc 3B. Also, of course, far fewer shells, only 9 versus 32. VLRA Logistic already coming in, trying to get this Merc 3B back into the fight. Blue 4 really does not have that many units to push with. Red 4 has already overtaken them in points at this stage. And I don't really see any kind of hope for Blue 4. I'm not sure if Blue 4 sees any hope for Blue 4. AMX-10RC is almost in position. It might have spotted the Mi-8 at this point. So it knows that it's not a good idea to proceed. Maglans are getting hit by artillery. They're not moving either. There goes an aircraft. LSTR gave their position away, but so did the 23 force. Legionnaires. Oh, these poor guys. They're gonna get murdered by the SFL 57-2s. These things are incredibly potent against infantry. There we go. They're able to kill 3 of the Motorschützen group, but that's it. Leaving just the Hussars in a very awkward position. Pretty much far behind enemy lines. And it seems like Volkov knows where they are. Motorschützen are being pulled back, hoping to intercept the Hussar. AMX-10RC is now in contact with the helicopter, but it just has 1 machine gun to deal with it, which means it's going to take a while. And there we go, Volkov knows that it's here. This AMX-10RC is going to have a really rough fight ahead. Jean Maho, 40% accuracy. Against 55% accuracy, but only when moving. Oh, sorry, only when still. It doesn't fire on the move, this 10RC. They know where these units are. But can they do anything about it? Well, they might. Unfortunately for them, it seems like the Lance has just fired. And is not quite capable of doing much. The SARs are not yet intercepted. Oh boy. Looks like the Mi-8 might be down, but now its bigger and badder brother has shown up in the form of the Mi-24P. And that autocannon can turn this into a very, very dead AMX-10RC very quickly. It's moving in to hunt it down. But Mi-24s generally have very bad optics. This guy has poor optics. So it can very well see the AMX-10RC. Unless the AMX-10RC moves out of the tree line. Pulls right back in. Mi-24P turning around. Looking for the kill. But even just keeping it here is going to make it very dangerous for the AMX-10RC to try and come out again. Looks like we have a potential incoming land strike. Oh, it's a Mar-290 strike, isn't it? Yeah, the Mar-290 with 15 HE is going to send some gifts over towards this sector in Foxtrot. It won't really win the battle for Blue 4, but if they're able to kill the command infantry here, then at least they won't be bleeding 2 points, they will just be bleeding 1 point. Command unit on the move, leaving the sector. Panzer Yekeri a bit stunned, but otherwise alright. And the Lance, I think, is still loading. Yeah, the Lance is still loading. It's going to take a while for that thing to fire. But over 8 at this point pushing back against the Red 4 units, including a couple of Stoottroepen coming in from the right. The Rover 890 with an M72A4 Law, it's not potent enough to deal with the T72. These things do 16 AP. This thing does 4 HE every shot. They will be able to damage this thing, but they also have a couple of those anti-air guns, which double as infantry killers. So the moment, there we go, the Rover 8 are engaging the LSTR, that's when the 23 force come forward. Guns at the ready. And very soon, there will be, there we go, no more Rover 8. Not a chance. Hold on a minute, what happened here? Where is the Hind? See, it's tricky when there's so many engagement areas. I am bound to miss something, especially on these very close tournament matches. I'm not seeing the Hind anymore. This is just a transport. Oh, here it is. I think they brought it back to the front line. Leaving the AMX-10RC free reign in the back of the lines over here. Where it still hasn't spotted the command tank because it's too deep into the forest. Now they've spotted it, and it's returning fire. And there goes the AMX-10RC. Combination of Bachongzu and Chunmaho CV killed it. Now temporarily, the command tank is, yeah, it's maneuvering out of the sector. Because it's been severely wounded. Leaving Blue 4 at a +1. 7.5 minutes to go. Long range missile coming in, that must be the Lance. I don't think you can do too much against a command tank with a Lance. But then again, I don't think the Lance is going to hit anywhere near the command tank. Because they're probably landing it where it was. Well, it's a bunch of dead Bachongzu. Slightly damaged command tank, but overall, well, this thing just needs to stop and take over the sector again. Blue 4's income has stopped. Red 4, 333 versus Blue 4's 162. This is not looking good for Blue. They're still trying to shell the position, almost killing the command tank. It's down to 1 hit point. But with that command tank back in position, Blue 4 is once again losing 2 points. Or rather, Red 4 is gaining 2 points every single minute. No, sorry, not minute. Come on, can they get it? Lance is once again reloading and standing by. So is the Mar 290. I'm not sure if they still have the Kurnus, but I think it got severely damaged on its last flyover. And might not be able to do much for the next few minutes. There's not a lot left of the defensive units around the command tank here. Although a new group, well, semi-new group of motor shoots and 90s coming in. Interestingly, this sector is still under Blue 4 command. But only barely. It's just a Stafeenheid, Magellan, Leopard Verkenning 2A4. That's it. I think that based on the amount of Blue 4 units that there are, that there won't be that much activity. Merkava 1 trying to push forward. It's going to get probably a pretty rough welcoming from the Panzer Jekeri and the Jekeri. Legionnaires on the right. Krotal. Krotal's being hunted by the Eriks. I see they know exactly where the command tank is. At this point though, the command tank has been healed up. Thanks to a couple of, a single SA-150 and the other one's going back to base. So they're back to square zero. They once again have to reduce this tank in health. They did wipe out the command infantry here. It's not going to do that much for them. Because they're only at a +1 now, Red 4. So they're not at a standstill. And even then, in 4 minutes, if you want to get that many points, you better start wiping out lots and lots of command units. You're going to have to kill them all. And instead, Red 4 is killing Blue 4's command unit with just a couple of BTR 60 PBs. 10-point transports. But then again, the Stafeenheid doesn't really have anything to defend itself with against BTR 60Ps. So the BTRs win. And that leaves Bravo entirely open. Leopard 2A4 is now trying to move into a position, but it's too late, as the infantry is already dead. Let's see, the Lance is ready. Mar 290 is also reloaded. We got a single AMX-10RC pushing forward, but the HEGM team says no and wipes it out. Blue 4 is throwing everything that they have to the front line. Cheetah coming in. Merkava 2A. It's going to be rough for these guys. But then again, these are very good against infantry as well. Merkava 2A is exceptional against infantry. That tank, though. 13 AP, 11 frontal armor. 18 frontal armor, 15 AP. But you're firing at point blank range. And you might not have enough ammo. LSTR, gone. Merkava 2A running into the T-72, which just gets stunned by an airstrike. Merkava 2A hitting, putting it back to 1 health. Who's going to get the first shot? And it's blue 4. The Merc of a 2A gets the shot, reducing the income of red to 0. And considering that there's no real red 4 units coming in, nor have they been coming in for the last couple of minutes, I think they can't afford another CV. But then again, possibly neither can blue. Although blue does have this double CV'd. Still though, they can't very well bring a CV to Fox. They can't very well bring a CV to Bravo. The only real play that they have left is killing the command units. The command infantry here and the command tank over there. Well, good luck with that. Gazelle cannon flying to the front. Gets intercepted by a MiG-21 BIS. If it wouldn't have been intercepted, it might have been able to lose a few shots of the command infantry here. I really like that offensive with the Merc of a 2A. That was so close. And now the Gongbobyeong are coming in. Again, there's very little that blue 4 still has left. It looks like red 4 just doesn't need any more income. They're just waiting. There we go. There goes the Cheetah. Maglan might get the kill on the Chon Maho. Although the moment that it fires, it's going to get killed off by the Type 80s. There we go. Time's up. 30 minutes have passed. And it's a full total victory to Imposto e Roubo. Still, blue 4 well played. You guys really pulled out as much as you can, trying to get as many of these guys killed as possible, especially with the last minute offensives that you did against the command tank. Unfortunately, red wins. Well played to both teams, and we're going to be seeing more of Imposto e Roubo in the next rounds of the tournament. In case you want to keep up with the tournament, link down below in the description where you can see how well these teams are doing and how many points they've gained. We are approaching, I think, the quarterfinals/semifinals. So very soon it's going to be some of the best versus, well, some of the other best. And we'll see who's left standing at the end of the race. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll catch you guys soon for more videos.